In a stunning and unprecedented move, the Trump administration abruptly froze immigrant visa processing for 75 countries, sending shockwaves through communities around the world and catching countless families off guard. The sudden halt shattered the dreams of thousands overnight, leaving people who had spent years planning for a new life in the United States facing heartbreak and uncertainty. The policy, enacted without warning or public debate, left families, professionals, and students stranded in bureaucratic limbo, unsure if or when their hopes would be revived. For many, years of effort, savings, and anticipation were erased in an instant, replaced by confusion and despair. Framed as a national security measure, officials claimed the freeze would allow for stricter vetting and protect American interests, insisting it was necessary to keep the country safe. But critics, including immigration advocates and legal experts, saw it as a drastic shift toward restriction, arguing that it unfairly targeted innocent people and undermined America's tradition as a nation of immigrants. The freeze was not a minor adjustment. It was a total shutdown, affecting nations from Afghanistan to Russia and Somalia, and touching every continent except North America. Families were separated, jobs lost, and futures put on indefinite hold, as the U.S. signaled a new era of closed doors and heightened suspicion toward outsiders. The backlog grew rapidly, trapping people in uncertainty and causing immense emotional and financial strain, as months of waiting turned into years for some. Communities and economies, both in the U.S. and abroad, felt the ripple effects as skilled workers and loved ones were barred from entry, leaving businesses understaffed and families divided by borders. Diplomatically, the move soured relations with many affected countries, who viewed the policy as discriminatory and a betrayal of long-standing alliances and partnerships. The freeze quickly became a symbol of a more insular America, igniting fierce debate over the nation's values, the treatment of immigrants, and the limits of executive power in shaping immigration policy. For those caught in its wake, the policy was not just political. It was deeply personal, upending lives, dreams, and relationships with no clear end in sight, and leaving scars that would last for years. The stage was set for a major legal and moral showdown over the future of U.S. immigration, as courts, activists, and families prepared to challenge the sweeping freeze and fight for a more open and compassionate America. The legal battle, which had gripped the nation for months, finally reached its dramatic climax in a packed New York federal courthouse. It was here that Judge Jeanette Vargas, known for her meticulous approach and unwavering commitment to justice, delivered a landmark decision that would reverberate far beyond the courtroom walls. With measured authority, she struck down the controversial visa freeze. Her ruling was sweeping and unequivocal, declaring the policy not only unlawful, but also a clear overreach of executive authority. Judge Vargas ordered that the freeze be vacated immediately, sending a powerful message about the limits of government power. In her detailed opinion, Judge Vargas emphasized that the Secretary of State had exceeded the powers granted by Congress, bypassing the structured and transparent process required for such significant visa decisions. She underscored the importance of checks and balances in the American legal system. The decision was met with jubilation by advocates and legal experts alike, who hailed it as a major victory for the rule of law and a crucial check on executive power. Outside the courthouse, supporters embraced and cheered, recognizing the broader implications for civil liberties. Plaintiffs in the case had shown that the freeze caused real and lasting harm. Families were torn apart, loved ones separated by borders, lives put in jeopardy, and futures left uncertain. The ruling brought hope and relief to those who had suffered under the policy. The court's message was unmistakable. Even the highest officials in government must operate within the boundaries of the law. No one is above the Constitution, and every action must be justified by clear legal authority. Judge Vargas's order restored hope for thousands of families, instructing the government to immediately resume visa processing for all 75 affected countries. For many, it marked the first step toward reuniting with loved ones and rebuilding their lives. The ruling reaffirmed a fundamental principle: major policy shifts must be grounded in clear legal authority, not unilateral executive action. It set a precedent for future cases, reminding officials that the law is the ultimate safeguard of rights. More than just a legal outcome, Judge Vargas's decision was a resounding statement about due process, accountability, and the enduring protection of rights for all people, regardless of nationality or circumstance. At the heart of Judge Vargas's decision was a fundamental question: who truly holds the power to decide who may enter the United States? Traditionally, this responsibility has rested with consular officers, who, according to long-standing U.S. law, possess exclusive authority to review and adjudicate visa applications on a case-by-case basis. However, the Trump administration's sweeping visa freeze abruptly stripped these officers of their independent power, replacing careful, individualized assessment with a broad, indiscriminate ban that affected thousands of hopeful travelers. The court determined this was a clear overreach. Congress, through the Immigration and Nationality Act, specifically assigned the responsibility for visa decisions to consular officers, not to the Secretary of State or the executive branch as a whole. The law is clear. Every applicant must be evaluated on their own merits, with their unique circumstances considered, rather than being punished collectively based on their nationality or country of origin. Judge Vargas's ruling was a strong statement in defense of the integrity and fairness of the immigration process, shielding it from undue political interference and executive overreach. The decision reinforced a crucial principle. Executive power, no matter how sweeping, has limits and cannot override the legal framework carefully constructed by Congress to ensure due process. By vacating the administration's policy, the court preserved the essential principle of individualized, fair adjudication, ensuring that each person's case is heard and judged on its own facts. Ultimately, the ruling was about more than just the citizens of 75 countries. It was about upholding the foundational legal framework of U.S. immigration and protecting the rights of all who seek entry. Consular officers must be empowered to fulfill their duties, free from sweeping executive directives that undermine their expertise and the individualized nature of their role, ensuring fairness and justice for all applicants. Behind the headlines, the visa freeze meant heartbreak and hardship for thousands. A Russian engineer's family, ready to move to Silicon Valley, was left stranded, their future in limbo and savings dwindling. An Afghan translator, approved for a special immigrant visa, was trapped in danger, his family's safety slipping away as the freeze halted their escape. Spouses and children endured months of separation, relying on video calls as their lives remained on hold. Many had sold homes and quit jobs, only to be left in uncertainty and financial distress. The emotional toll was immense. Anxiety, depression, and despair became daily realities. The freeze turned hope into heartache, as families waited helplessly for a resolution. For those affected, the policy was not just a delay. It was a crisis that upended every aspect of their lives. Advocacy groups like the ACLU and International Refugee Assistance Project hailed Judge Vargas's ruling as a landmark victory. They argued the freeze was discriminatory, targeting people by nationality without real security justification. The court's decision validated their fight for fairness and due process in immigration law. By sharing stories of separated families and blocked workers, advocates built public support and humanized the legal battle. The ruling offered hope and reunification for thousands, but groups warned the fight wasn't over. They stressed the need for vigilance, as restrictive policies could return in new forms. The decision set a powerful precedent, showing courts can check government overreach and protect immigrant rights. The Trump administration defended the visa freeze as a national security necessity. Officials claimed the 75 countries posed heightened risks or lacked reliable information sharing, justifying a pause for stricter vetting. Economic concerns were also cited, arguing the freeze protected American jobs and taxpayers. The administration insisted the President and Secretary of State had broad authority to control immigration for national security. Critics countered that the policy lacked evidence of specific threats and was a pretext for discrimination. Judge Vargas rejected the administration's arguments, ruling that executive power cannot override clear legal mandates. The court found the freeze unjustified and unlawful, reaffirming the limits of executive authority. The reversal of the visa freeze was part of a broader pattern of legal pushback against Trump-era immigration policies. Courts repeatedly blocked or reversed executive actions deemed unlawful or unconstitutional, reinforcing the judiciary's role as a check on power. With the freeze vacated, the State Department must now process the backlog of applications, reuniting families and welcoming skilled workers. The decision brings relief and closure to thousands, ending months of uncertainty. Legal experts see this as a defining moment for the separation of powers and the rule of law. The ruling sends a clear message. Major immigration changes require legal authority, not just executive orders. It strengthens the precedent for judicial oversight and future legal challenges to overbroad policies. The courts remain a vital forum for protecting immigrant rights and holding the government accountable.